Yet another Dougie. Let's get it. Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman, and in today's show, we're doing an instant reaction and analysis of the San Francisco 49ers 37-24 victory over the Tennessee Titans. And there's a lot to like in this one, especially from Brock Purdy. The final score was comfortable, and honestly, for most of the game, it felt like the Niners were in control. But with that said, it wasn't completely perfect, and we're going to get into it on both sides. But let's go ahead and start with the obvious, the big positive. My man Brock Purdy absolutely dealt today. Call him Chef Purdy. He was out there cooking all day long. He finished the day 23 of 30, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, not to mention what he did with his legs. He scrambled, he extended plays, 44 yards on the ground. He even had I believe a 24-yard career long run in this game that was really big at a real big moment in the game. But what stood out to me wasn't the numbers. It wasn't even the Dougie that he did on the sideline. It was honestly the command. He was decisive, accurate, in rhythm, really from start to finish. He spread the ball around, hit his receivers in stride, converted numerous third downs, man. I believe at one point he was like 7 for 8. All his 5 third down throws, and then 2 with his legs that he was able to convert early on in the first half of that game. Yes, there was that one fumble. It was close. I know it got reviewed and it was upheld that it was a fumble. That was the call on the field. There was a couple of throws, one in particular that was one of those really like heat check type of throws, which when you're dealing like that, man, I don't mind that. That's just like a shooter in basketball hitting 4 threes in a row. Why not try that logo 3 from half court just to see where you're at? Brock was outstanding in this game. And if you're looking for one of those, this is my quarterback type of performances, that's what Brock did today. I know it was against Tennessee. Tennessee's only won 2 games. Tennessee found ways to make bad mistakes in this game to lose the game. But this is the NFL. And every single week there's a huge upset, right? There's a large upset that happens in the league, and the Niners came in here and did what they were supposed to do to come out with a victory. Offensively, there was no games being played. Another key standout for this game, man, my guy, Slick Ricky Pearsall, man, absolutely flashed, looked legit, but the concern still remains. If you had an opportunity to look at my preview show, I was saying, Kyle, get this man the rock early. Sure enough, first play of the game, pass out to Ricky Pearsall. Got tackled, man, and came up really ginger and hobbling. I know it was one of those tackles that you're not supposed to do that can get you hurt, and I believe that dude might even get fined. I can't recall who made the tackle, but first play of the game, he comes up gimpy, misses most of that first quarter, but man, when he was in there and not hurt, he flashed, guys. This is an offense with what we're able to do that can be just fine without Brandon Ayuk. I've said it for a while now. I felt as though Brandon Ayuk would not play another snap in a 49ers uniform, and that's exactly what happened with the 49ers earlier this week, making it official, basically putting him on a I'm not playing for the team list the rest of the season. Just absolutely left, and that's a shame. Unfortunately, that was a divorce, it seemed like, and a regret of the Niners as soon as they allowed Brandon Ayuk to sign that contract. We're going to miss him. He did a lot of good things for us, man. My hope is that whatever this situation is, it can work out in the Niners' favor and Brandon's favor because, like I said, that's a man who needs to put food on his table as well. But getting back to Ricky Pearsall, man, 6 catches, just under 100 yards. And there was another play in the game where he fell on his knee, making a nice comeback catch where he hit his knee on the ground. And it appeared toward the end of the game that he was going to be just fine. With Ricky and his history of injuries, man, you just got to kind of hold your breath hoping that he can get back on the field and be okay for next week's game when we play the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. Because if Ricky Pearsall is available and playing like that, this offense levels up significantly. Other key performances, Christian McCaffrey did Christian McCaffrey-like things. I know the yards per carry at 3.3 yards per carry isn't anything to write home about. Guys, that's what it's been like this whole season. And today, Brian Robinson even did worse than that. It's one of those things that I think is funny because it is what it is. It's been like this all year long, but we still end up, even with averaging not very many yards per carry, we stick with it, and that helps the offense. And we're just going to be that team this year. What really surprised me was Christian McCaffrey only catching one pass. I do appreciate the fact that they didn't run him into the ground today. If there was any critique on offense, I feel like right there at the start of the fourth quarter, I feel like it would have been a really good idea to get Mac Jones in the game. If Mac Jones is in there, does Brock ever have the fumble? Maybe they run the ball, they don't pass as much, et cetera, et cetera. I would just like Kyle, when we're up big like that, man, to start putting in some other guys. I would love to see some of these rookies, man, get out here. Where is Jordan Watkins at, man? I would like to get an opportunity for some of these guys to get out here and get some playing time, man, instead of not even knowing what we have until next year. Kyle Shanahan, for whatever reason, it's hard to question the man just by what he's able to do, drawing up plays and what he does with the offense. Maybe he knows something that I don't. More than likely that's the case. But it's like, why do you give all these offensive guys these redshirt years? I believe Jacob Cowing's healthy, man. I'd like to see the dude that you drafted, pretty decently high, in my opinion, especially where you draft players, how good you draft in the mid to later rounds. Let the man go out there and try to make a play. It's head scratching to me sometimes, and I don't understand it. All right, so the negative, guys. The run defense, man, it was rough, super rough. Tony Pollard was just running all over us. The yards per carry were eyebrow raising. He got over 100 yards. As a team, we just were not stopping the run. We allowed a couple of pretty deep pass plays in this game that I really didn't like. The Titans consistently got movement up front. They hit the second level lanes and stayed on schedule way too often, personally, for my liking. Not to mention that we didn't record a single sack today, guys. No sacks, giving up that many yards on the ground, plus the yards per carry average. That's a bit concerning, even in a win. And I recognize that we had the game and maybe we weren't pressing. Maybe we were not worried about making the adjustments, knowing we were going to come out of that game with a victory. But against better teams, especially playoff teams, that combination of a weak run defense and no pass rush can and will get you beat. My hope is that my man Robert Saleh takes that back to the lab and fixes that up. And every time we've had a performance where we've gotten absolutely dominated on the ground, the very next game, it's like a completely different team. So maybe it's one of those they weren't selling out, playing a little bit soft because the win was in hand. I hope that's the case, but still doesn't look good in my estimation. Another item I want to talk about today, guys, is really the results around the league. The Lions did us no favors today, losing to the Rams. Now, I know that the Lions losing gives the Niners another game ahead to make the playoffs, but let's be honest. And I'm a glass half empty guy, right? I always look at the negative impacts and try to prepare for it. It would take, a complete and total just collapse and a lot of help from around the league for the Niners to not make the playoffs, guys. Take a deep breath, relax, and smile. Your team, the San Francisco 49ers, are making the playoffs, okay? That's almost automatic at this point. So seeding is where we're really at now and what we need some help with. Man, I thought the Colts might pull that win out against the Seahawks up in Seattle, but it just wasn't in the cards, and the Seahawks were able to kick a last-second field goal to beat the Colts. Man, that would have helped us substantially, because if the Seahawks would have lost, then maybe the Seahawks could possibly beat the Rams for us next week. That's going to be an absolutely enormous showdown and one that can help us. But I was saying this in the preview show earlier in the week too, that this is what the Niners have done well all season. They haven't come in half-stepping. They haven't come in messing around. They've beat convincingly the teams that they need to beat. There was a lot of talk from a lot of folks during the week that this could be a trap game. I didn't think so whatsoever. I thought the Niners would win and that the Niners would win convincingly. And that's what we did here in this game. A couple of head-scratching things on the defensive side of the ball, but I'm confident we can button that up. Another thing is that Green Bay lost today, which absolutely helps the San Francisco 49ers out as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go out here, man, run the table on these next 3 games, have some teams help us. Obviously, when the Seahawks and Rams plays, somebody's going to lose that game. That's going to help right there. Also, Green Bay is going to play the Bears. That's another big game that's going to help us. We're going to play the Seahawks last week of the season, week 18 at home. That's going to help us significantly. We still have a chance at the number 1 seed. So it is going to be a whirlwind, man. Our division is so very good. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, and spoiler alert, it's obvious, somebody from the NFC West is representing the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. My hope it's the Niners pulling out the home game, if that makes sense. A couple of things on the injury front around the league, too, that's eye-opening and that I just wanted to mention. Micah Parsons, man, looked like he may have suffered a torn ACL in today's loss against the Denver Broncos. I hate that for him. Absolutely, man. I don't want anybody to be injured or miss time. I just know that loss is going to significantly impact the Green Bay Packers. I'm not ashamed to say what I thought was going to happen to the Packers at the beginning of the season. I actually picked the Packers not to make the playoffs because I felt like they just didn't have that dude on defense that can make a key stop or a key sack. And I felt like as soon as Micah came to Green Bay, man, it completely changed their season. So Micah not being there already, I feel has started impacting them. More to come with the Packers and where they're going to end up falling, especially with a big game coming up against the Bears. We'll have to see what happens on that one. So basically what I want to get at before we end the show is that big win, great performance from Brock Purdy. Ricky Pearsall flashed, showed some real potential. Plenty of stars did their thing and cooked today. But that run defense, man, and that pass rush, it definitely needs some work. Overall, though, this was a statement win and one that keeps the Niners on track with exactly where they're trying to go, faithful. We could run the table and be the number 1 seed possibly in the NFC. That would be enormous. Bottom line is the Niners just need to focus on that next game in Indy, and I really feel like we can win that game too. I'll make sure I get a preview show on my thoughts and analysis on that one later in the coming week. But that's going to be it for this instant reaction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you the most from this win? And as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the breakdown, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss another moment of the Cayman's Island podcast. As always, guys, take care, be blessed, go Niners.